Haha, what is going on YouTube? It's me. You might remember me from my last video about Brother Bear 3, but I did not realize it at the time that the studio had made another direct-to-video sequel after that one. So this is actually the fourth Brother Bear movie, but it has been so long since I watched these that I'm just getting around to it. And I'm glad I did because while the other movies were not very good, this one was actually quite enjoyable. So the plot of this one is a bit different. Kenai is now living happily as a bear, spending his days playing around with his little brother Koda and catching fish. But one day while they are out exploring, Kenai gets a surprise when he runs into an old friend from his human days, Nita. Remember her? Well, she doesn't recognize him at first, but eventually does, much to her horror. You see, back in the last movie, before Kenai left for the spirit world, he had promised her that if he ever came back as a bear, she would have to leave with him and he would show her the world as a bear. She had been hoping that she would never have to see him again, so to say, but she honored her promise and went with him anyway, much to her dismay. But there is another reason why she is upset about reuniting with Kenai. You see, she is now engaged to marry this guy named Gogo, who seems like a pretty nice guy, but he's just too goofy and dim-witted to realize that. Nita is only with him because she feels obligated to keep her promise to Kenai. Speaking of whom, he is also feeling a bit uneasy about having to leave Koda behind again. But he knows he has to honor his promise to Nita. Now, you might remember that when Kenai and Doki were cubs, they had made a promise to each other that they would keep each other safe no matter what. And they had sealed this promise with this amulet that Doki had found. But when Doki was taken away by the spirits, Kenai broke the amulet, thinking it had been nothing but a burden to him. But now, because he and Nita have renewed their promise to each other, she tells him that they need to go to the place where he broke the amulet so that they can burn it and renew their own promise. Along the way, they meet up with some old friends, like the hilarious yet clumsy skating rink worker, Dingo, as well as the kind-hearted blind hermit, Tashi, who helps them get across a raging river. Along the way, though, Nita is still longing for Gogo and keeps trying to convince Kenai to let her return to him. She even sings this really sad song about how she wishes she could be free of her promise to Kenai, so that she could be with Gogo, but Kenai is starting to realize that he still has feelings for her too. And the more time they spend together, the more those feelings grow. Eventually, they make it to the place where Kenai had broken the original amulet, and they begin to burn it in a fire. But when Nita throws the pieces into the flames, the wind blows them back at her, transforming them into beautiful butterflies that fly off into the sunset. This symbolizes that the best thing for her would be to follow her heart and go with whoever she loves. She chooses to go with Kenai, though, and they kiss. And then Kenai transforms into a human again. Now, I'm not sure if this transformation was because he chose to do it himself, or if it was because he was reunited with his true love. But either way, it was nice to see him as a human again. However, he does look noticeably different, especially with his fur now being brown instead of black, but whatever. The movie ends with Kenai and Nita returning home where they are greeted as heroes for bringing back the butterflies, which are apparently a rare sight. We also see that Cody has missed Kenai very much, but he is happy for his brother that he has found his true love. Then Kenai and Nita run off into the forest together to start their life as a couple. And the final shot is of the two of them standing together with Koda in front of them. I think this movie was better than the others for a few reasons. For one, the animation seemed a bit better to me. The colors seemed brighter and the backgrounds seemed a bit more detailed. There were also some nice action scenes like the chase with the waterfall and the one with the bridge. And there was a lot more focus on actual storytelling rather than slapstick humor. Sure, the humor was still present and Dingo was still as funny as ever, but there was a lot more of a focus on the romantic subplot here, which I did enjoy. It also helped that we got to see more of the world beyond Kenai's backyard. In the previous movies, it seemed like the entire story took place in that same forest clearing, but here we got to see a variety of lush forests and roaring rivers, all of which looked beautiful. And speaking of beautiful, the music in this movie was gorgeous. I particularly enjoyed the songs My Heart Will Find a Way and Someday. They were both sung by Nita, and they were both very sad, beautiful songs that showcased her longing for freedom from her promise to Kenai, as well as her undying love for him. And of course, the voice acting was superb, as you would expect from a movie with such a great cast. But now I want to hear your thoughts on the movie. What do you think of Brother Bear 2? Do you think this one is better than the others? Let me know in the comments down below. Speaking of comments, let's move on to the bad. Oh man, there were some things that really irked me about this movie. First of all, Nita's fiance, Gogo. Dude, what are you doing? I mean, throughout the whole movie, he is just oblivious to the fact that Nita is only with him because of a promise she made to Kenai. He sings this song early in the film about how happy he is to be engaged to Nita, and I just wanted to reach into the screen and smack him upside the head. Like, dude, you don't even know why she's with you. The only reason she agreed to marry you in the first place is because she felt bad about breaking her promise to Kenai. Seriously, if any of the characters in this movie had any common sense, the plot would have been wrapped up in the first 10 minutes. But thankfully, I wasn't the only one who thought this. Early in the film, Kenai says to her, "You're only with Gogo because you feel you have to. You should be honest with yourself about how you really feel." But instead, she replies, "Don't be silly. Of course I love Gogo. Man, I wanted to shake her sometimes. Like, I know you're trying to be faithful to your promise, but you have to think of yourself too. I mean, you can't spend the rest of your life with someone who you're not in love with." Even Kenai realized this, which is why he broke the amulet in the first place. Another thing that bothered me was the ending. When Kenai makes his wish to become human again, he looks noticeably different. He loses his dark fur and becomes this guy with brown hair and green eyes. Now, I understand that this is supposed to represent that he is no longer a bear, but why did they change his fur color? I mean, in the last movie, he was clearly a black bear. Yet when he becomes human again, he is this stereotypical Native American-looking dude. It's just really weird, especially because he didn't look anything like that when he was a bear. No, I'm not going to make a big deal out of this, because ultimately it is just a children's movie. And obviously, the creators were trying to make the character more appealing to their target audience. But that's just strange to me that they would change his race as well as his fur color when he became human. Like, wouldn't it make more sense for him to look like a grizzly bear when he was a bear and then become this rugged outdoorsy type when he became human again? But regardless of these flaws, I still enjoyed the movie overall. And I'm glad that I finally got around to watching it. So I give Brother Bear 2 a rating of 3.5 out of 5 stars. Not a great movie, but definitely a solid B-tier entry in the Brother Bear franchise. Well, that's all I have to say for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And as always, stay happy.